my name is Rivas Mayoki. I'm a fan. I love to watch series and I enjoy them, but sometimes, like a true fan, I want to criticize them. Because what's a true fan if you don't have a critique mind? Because fandoms, more often than not, are just a bunch of people criticizing and wanted it better than they received it. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about Love Between Worlds, and I will look at the endings of Love Between Worlds stories, and I will focus on K-dramas, King Eternal Monarch, Crash Landing on You, Secret Garden, and My Lovely Kim Samsun. I don't know if I said it right or if I... Anyway, if I got it wrong, sorry. I'm bad at names. All sorts of names, not just one culture. So I wanted to talk about Love Between Worlds and how they end. You may notice, if you are an avid K-drama fan, that those are three dramas of Hyunbin and one with Lee Min-ho, I don't know how to say that. So I'm confused with Korean language because when I see transcription on English, I don't know how to read it. And when I hear it on Korean, if I write it on Croatian, I will know how to say it. But in my mind, I have the way that is written in English. And when I hear how they say it, it's completely different. So it's a confusing conundrum between reading English words that transcribe another language. I sang the song from Secret Garden, That Man, only because I listened to it and I transcribed it in Croatian spelling, and then I knew how to sing it. But when I look at how it's written in English, it just looks like gibberish. I have no idea how to read that. So, Love Between Worlds. Yes, that's Lee. I would write like Lee on English, and I hear they saying it E. It's I don't know. So when I'm speaking Korean names, it's always a combination of how I read it and did I hear that name ever spoken by a Korean. So that's that about tangent about names. And apology for speaking them wrong. But Love Between Worlds, it's always a challenge to write when you have a love protagonists. Yes, spoilers. If you don't want your ends spoiled, click away, look, but then come back, because this is about ends, how to end a story of Love Between Worlds. So most of the time I'm not satisfied with the way the stories about Love Between Worlds end, because most of the time they try to get it all. They try to make that nobody has to compromise and that that nothing is lost. But I think that when you have lovers that are from different worlds, it's inevitable. Yeah, that word, I never said it before. It's you can't escape the fact that those worlds are different worlds, and that people can inhabit only one world at a time, or be travelers between worlds. And one of them has to compromise, or they have to choose a third world, so they both lose something and they both compromise. But King Eternal Monarch was the first K-drama I watched, and I was satisfied till the middle, and then it started to crumble, and the end was like Somebody Loves Doctor Who. They just made Doctor Who ending. She's his companion, and they're bouncing between realms through his portal between worlds, and that's the best symbolism for Love Between Worlds I can find, to hop constantly between worlds. But we saw in Doctor Who what happens to companions. They lose their daily life, and eventually they lose touch with friends, and eventually they do lose the time and space they were taken from, and they always have to find a new life or lose it completely sometimes. And to think that he, as a king, because you have two lovers, and he's a king in alternate Korea that has monarchy, and she's a detective in our Korea who doesn't have monarchy. And in the end, they discover how to control the portal between worlds, and they just hop out in and out of each other's lives and go on an adventure. And it's suggested that they both kept their positions and their lives in their worlds, but either their careers will suffer for them constantly being absent and constantly hopping away, or their love life will be like their lovers, like their an affair, like a secret thing, and there's no way they will ever settle and have a life, a house, may call me old fashioned, a family, but not a family, just to spend quality time together, because that's the point of romance. You want to spend quality time with that person, you want to have them around, to see them as much as possible, and to have them, to touch them, to hug them, to just have that simple sharing experience of joint lives. I can't express it differently. And in King Eternal Monarch, it's just that sense that they didn't settle in together, that they just kept that whirlwind romance fresh, like they're constantly new, they constantly just pop in and pop out of their lives, and they can die anywhere. And how is his monarchy led without a king who is there to lead it? And it's just like, many times in romances, work is treated just like a side characterization, like something you don't need to invest time in. And that annoys me because most of our lives consist of working, of children, of school, of obligations of different kinds, and you live with your loved ones to see them more often when you come back from work, when you have time, to have as much as time possible together. And this way they are just traveling companions who travel occasionally together. I just don't see it as fulfilling end. And Crash Landing on You has a similar problem, because he's from North Korea and he's a soldier there, and she's from South Korea, so from Democratic Republic of Korea, and she crash lands literally on him. She falls from a tree straight through his arms. If that's not symbolic, I don't know what is. And they fell in love, and the end is after many turmoils and shots and gunshots and crossing the border, like it's like just like, I'll go here, I'll go there, like it's no big deal. They end up meeting in Switzerland for 2 weeks a year, and it's suggested that that is a romantic end. And I was like, 2 weeks a year? That's just like Pirates of the Caribbean, when she could see him 1 day a year. Like, no, it's just mad. It's just like so unsatisfying, and that's even less than being an affair and secret lover. It's just like a fling you have in the summer. Did they marry? Did they have families? Did they forever just be in limbo where they are the whole year alone and waiting for that 2 weeks to repeat themselves? It's just like, I really don't find that satisfying. For me, it would be better that they settle each in their lives, and that he married the woman he supposed to, now knowing how to love better, or that if you have to put them together because that's a promise of a romance, you implicitly promise that it will be okay and that they will end up together. He's an artist and a pianist who went to army just because his brother died, and during the series he resolved what he wanted to do. He found out why his brother died, and there was no reason for him to continue to be in the army. They could make him an ambassador of goodwill and that he lives in South Korea. I don't know. Not that they just meet up for 2 weeks a year. It's so sad. I don't know. I would be so exhausted. It's just like, no, somebody's got to give. Somebody has to make the leap. Somebody has to decide that this romance is worth the risk, worth the discomfort of a new country, of new language, of just risking it all. I don't know. That's the point of the love between worlds. Something's got to give. You have to compromise. You have to lose something. There's no way you can have the cake and eat it too. And it's just like unsatisfying. The first ones were just like travel companions in the end, and the second ones were what summer fling in Switzerland. That's not really romantic for me. It's just like, okay, all of that drama just no. I was like, what will they just go grow old alone? I no, not for me. And I liked Crash Landing on Me. Really, on you. Really, it's a really great show. I just have the problem with the way they ended it, and I think the whole drama of in the end was just like too excessive. But people like drama and spectacles, and I don't know. My taste isn't everybody's taste, but just like I understand that show is more about tensions between North Korea and South Korea and trying to reconcile two different cultures without judging another. I really appreciated that, not judging the other culture and not making a focus on negative aspects of being communist country like North Korea is, and showing normal people living normal lives, that they are not all criminals and murderers just because they live there. So it's a really really good show, and I recommend it. I just the end wasn't for me, and I moved from Crash Landing on You to Other Human Beings drama because I don't know, I found his face interesting. I discovered later on that he looks like my father looked in his youth, and that's a bit off-putting. That's off-putting, but he looked interesting, like he has range. But in Crash Landing on You, his role was too restrained, so I went and watched some other dramas. I liked some, others not so much, but the one I liked the most was The Secret Garden. Secret Garden was marvelous, and of course it's obvious why it's marvelous to me. You have uh two worlds, like she's poor, he's rich, classic thing, but the fantasy plot is that they swap bodies, and he's a woman and she's a man most of the series, and it was marvelous, it was done beautifully, and they addressed all those confusing things that people usually don't mention, and they both acted it so well when they swapped, and it was in each moment, there was no confusion who is a man and who is a woman, even though the middle, when they switched too many times, it was a bit tiring to follow, but their performance was excellent, on point. Both of them were excellent, and it was so well done. And I loved their end. Their end did the justice to with the problem of two worlds, because she's extremely poor and he's extremely rich. But they didn't make that she just hops up and becomes a Cinderella who is just overnight glamorous and refined. No, he gives up his privileges, and they end up somewhere in the middle. I think that is the example where they created a world of their own in the middle between their worlds, and I did try to make that kind of romance earlier. Uh, that is trashed. I would have to do it again if I tried. But I appreciate that kind of dynamic, because she's not a woman who has ambition to become famous and rich, and she doesn't have a job that is compatible with being famous and rich, and she wants to keep her identity and keep her job, much like the story I wrote anyway. And he loses his privileges as an heir, and she compromises her life as a struggling fighter, I would say. And they end up in some middle creating family, and I love the end because it's not sugar coated. It's just the exhaustion and tiredness and just hell of having three small children at once and living in small crumpled room. And I loved it. It was just so marvelous. But it worked because for the two of them, not just their chemistry and their acting, the show just followed them, and it was their connection became tangible. You can see that those two people are home to each other, and that they make each other's lives better. Even after all the conflicts they had, they just feel like they are home to each other. And when you see them in the end with the children and I don't know, limitations of that new life, you can sense that they are satisfied with the choice they made. And it was said that he will regret it. Of course he will regret it, but like he said, she will be there to regret it with him. And I loved it. That was the best Between Worlds End. And another Hyun Bin drama, My Lovely Kim Sang-soo. I don't know. So in that drama, he's very young and she's 12 years older than. In show, it's like 6 years older than him. And there, her age is a problem, and the fact that she's larger, on the larger side, again, I can relate. Even if he's a bit taller than her, he looks tiny besides her. She really put on the weight, and her weight is believable and normal. And I appreciated that they approach her weight, her age, and her social status, which is again poor, and he's again rich, with respect. Because in many dramas, poverty is approached like you're this miserable being that just wants to get richer. No, most of people I know are quite satisfied with their lives, even if there is objections about the lack of money. The amount of money they would like to have is just a bit more, so they don't fall into debt. And besides that, most of people have lives that are satisfying to them, as much as I can observe. Not all of us strive to become famous authors and artists and have things they want to do with their time and money and everything. So in Kim Sang-soo, he completely, from my standpoint, it seems that he completely accepted her worldview and migrated to her world, accepting her family, her values, and just building his new self upon this new connection. I'm not sure, is that a connection that would last? I would be more, my money would be that they will divorce in a couple of years. But again, it's I don't know. I think that Hyun Bin is good when he has roles, when he can be agitated, angry, resentful, and not perfect. Because he has such a perfect physique. When you cast him in a role where his personality is as perfect as his appearance, it's just boring. I'm sorry, but in Crash Landing on You, he's so squared, and he gets his moments of pouting and jealousy and his signature moods, but it's not so interesting when you place his looks with more challenging persona and spoiled brat vibe, you get an, I don't know, very interesting character where his personality almost beats his good looks, and I love it. It's just like he's so hard to love in Kim Sang-soon. He's so brash and bratty, and he's just a brat. I would say that. And she's so lovable. I love her. In the end, it's very understandable that he would want to abandon his life of riches for her, because it's really well portrayed how emotionally he was emotionally neglected, and how he was emotionally abused because of the death of his brother. And out of that cold environment where he received little to no attention, and where he was mostly quiet, obedient and polite, to enter to her world, wild world, where she just does everything wrong and gets angry at everyone, and he can argue with her. I think that's a romance where he can argue with her, and that arguments leads to him feeling liberated and loved and noticed. So I don't know, even if they are about to divorce in few years, which is in the series like normal thing, it's not portrayed like everlasting love. I appreciate that. It's still a romance that needs to happen for them to move forward in life. Even if she's so obsessed with her 30 something years and not having children, like, dear, you're not old. Just trust me, you're not old. It's so silly how our society puts pressure on women, and I really sympathize that old age is really, really young. Like, when I revisited Ellie McBeal and realized that she's 25 on the beginning of series, I was like rewatching a few times to say, did I hear it correctly? 25, she's a baby, and she acts like her world is over because she ended her studies without getting married, and I was like, 25. And then in Sex and the City, I think they are 35 when it begins, and they are old maids, and I'm like, I'm glad that the border is shifting, but women are too strictly determined by their ability to give birth. Like, you're not over when your ability to give birth is done. I don't know. Easy for me to say I gave birth twice, but then again, maybe it's me. I can say it. Just it. Live your life. You're worthy, whether you have children and whether you don't have children. It just doesn't define you. That's my message to the world. Anyway, this was my segment, Skewed Review. The subject was love between worlds. I think we didn't conclude what the perfect ending would be. I don't know. But probably the perfect ending would be that one of them wants to move where the other one is, so that it's not a sacrifice. But I was about to do that. It's not because of you. I will do that whether you like me or not. It's just not about you. Don't get conceited. But I think that in series is when you portray it like a great sacrifice for love, it's just like it resonates more. It's like this great love gesture, guest, oh, gesture, move, love move. Anyway, I appreciate everyday romances a lot more. Just like common people loving each other. It's challenging enough to love someone for who they are, even if you see them in all their glorious flaws, and it's all fine by you. It's just like, that's you, will deal with it. I don't know. I'm not perfect either. Who is? Nobody is. I think that the perfect, the closer to perfection people are, the less inclined they are to find love, because love is the thing when you make room for other person, and perfection is a state of mind where you just try to be it all, to be everything, to know everything. Maybe that's why religious people and religious leaders tend to be alone, because there is no room beside perfection. Anyway, I love you all a lot, and thank you for tuning in. And if you liked it, comment it. I will probably do some more when I think of something. See you around. Bye.